Here I am at the spot Dallin H. Oaks, President Oaks will be buried at. There's the family sign. It just tells you where to walk. Oaks burial, 65 feet. His first wife is buried over there. I'll get to it. There just happens to be a November 17th close to it. Oh, that could be coincidence. Here's why I don't believe it is. You can get a line through those slightly if you go through the corners. I won't necessarily count that. Into this, you have a November prophet's birthday, Heber J. Grant, on my month and year. I was born November 7th, 1980. So the symbolism here is very special. The top one, and you kind of get the July 2nd, my patriarchal blessing, if you go diagonal. Perhaps that's not a coincidence, but the top birth just happens to be 1 month from a president of the church's birth, which is stronger than November 22nd. Ezra Taft Benson, August 4th, 1899. So it has all of his pattern except the 4. And you could even say if the July was a digit, you got the 7 for November 7 right there. Perhaps that's not coincidence, and perhaps that's part of the reason that he chose, let's say, a July versus an October 4th. But I don't believe that that is a coincidence. You have a September 13th, Lorenzo Snow's ordination day. I'm going to show you why I don't believe that that is coincidence. But this is very rare. This is super rare because the very next one is 1 day from President Monson's birth. So that is unbelievably hard to get. It has my sister's name, which probably slightly or maybe a little more than slightly strengthens it in terms of the Lord linking it to the correct family. And 2 down, it has President Monson's birthday on Nelson's birth year, which defies the odds, although those happen. Coincidence even far more drastic than that happen all the time. It is more against the odds, though, to get a prophet's birthday on another prophet's birth year. So if you follow this line, you kind of got to hit the right side of that stone. You almost pretend that that's one stone, half of it. So you cut it in half and see where the red flag is. Watch this. It goes through. See if I forgot anything along the way here. Okay, it goes through, and look what it perfectly hits. It hits my mom's name with a tailor. And remember, that had the stone with my birth month and year had the September 13th. I don't believe that that is a coincidence, because Lorenzo Snow was ordained September 13th, 1898. So this is 1 day from Lorenzo Snow's ordination. My mom was born September 12th, 1951. The next one is a month and a half from a prophet's birth. It has a Howard, a Hiram, and I can't share everything related to that. Kitty corner, a November prophet, Howard, is November 14th. That might not be coincidence, but watch what happens. Okay, so look at this. It hits that one, and then look at the line. It goes to the right of that candy cane. It doesn't go that far, but if you look at the line, just so you know I'm not cheating, and then boom, hits that. So the line is more to the right of that candy cane. Watch. My mom, Vera, September 12th, 1951. There it is, September 13th. There's Lorenzo Snow, September 13th again. Coming from the Vera, my mom's name, and 1 day from Lorenzo Snow's ordination. I'm gonna have to hold on a sec. Okay, so those two let's see here. I gotta find, okay. So it's this one. So it's gonna hit these two diagonal. This one and then that one. Watch, I'll prove it. Those two, let me keep an eye. Okay, those two, Hansen. Watch this. They're to the right of the candy cane. Look at this. To the right of the candy cane. And I'm not going to show everything. It's a perfect line. It's my patriarchal blessing, July 2nd, which talks about the line of the prophets, and then the very next one. An ordination date. The exact day that a prophet was ordained. Coincidence? With a November 6th, close to mine. 3 days from Christofferson, with an ordination day, January 25th. 3 days from Christofferson. And then look, 3 days from Harold B. Lee, right next to it. This is very, very, very unusual, and I wasn't going to show all that. And then look at this unusually special November 7th. The very day a November 7th apostle was born. It's got the Russell, the Joseph, and the Aaron and the Son pattern in Carson. I'm going to leave it at that. I haven't studied that very good. But I want to go over here and show these November 7ths that form a line. Okay, here's one, November 7th, and it's reinforced by another one, which I don't believe is coincidence. This one forms a line into Oaks, President Oaks' empty spot. It hits this, which has Monson on Hinckley's, which defies the odds with a Thomas and a November prophet's birth year. So that's fairly strong. It's not a home run. That's not weak at all. It's got my brother Keith's name, and I'll go back and demonstrate it. And then it hits this November 7th pattern. Also my parents' anniversary, and I can't share everything. Let's see. So boom. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Boom, boom, these three. And then it basically kind of hits the corner of these two, which is interesting because it has Nelson's and then it has Nelson's again. Is it the same person? No. Sometimes they have two. It has Nelson's. So it kind of hits the middle of those. So actually it hits this one more because I have to kind of angle it a little. And then see, it hits this one. My dad's name, Dennis. See those three? Boom, boom, boom. I just wanted to show. There's those three. That. And then it would hit the Dennis, like the corner. Okay. And then basically it hits Dallin Oaks' mom with the 1980, the year I was born, and then it hits his empty spot right here. The prophet's empty spot. There's his first wife. And I'm so tempted to show more, but it's a perfect line. I'm not gonna recap that actually, because I just get exhausted with this type of stuff, and that's not good. So there's Oak's empty spot. Look, my father's birthday on Dallin H. Oak's birth year. Not coincidence. This is not coincidence. A November 7th apostle with, look, that many of his digits. The 27 maybe even plays a role. And actually the January has a 1. So that slightly strengthens it. Again, I don't say everything's for sure, but this is not a coincidence. Watch. The very next one. My mom's pattern, Vera. Into Dallin H. Oaks, the president and prophet of the church. This has an April 4th, a prophet, my wife's, as well as on my parents' sealing date. I shouldn't be showing all this because there's a lot more. The next one from the October 9th, it has a rare Sharon. Right there. And yes, that forms lines, but this video is already too long, so let me go over here. I want to show this. Let me see here. It might be the closest November 7th to Oaks. If not, it's the 3rd. The other two, where is it? It's right here. It's on an ordination year, less than a month from John Taylor, who's a November 1st prophet, and it's 2 days after the ordination of McKay, which my mom is linked to and my dad. April 12th, 1951. You get the November prophet going diagonal. November 14th. And I don't believe that is a coincidence. Ephraim, the next one in Ephraim. It's got my initials, perhaps. But 2 down, you have Nelson's birthday on my year symbols. 1980, switch them. And here is why I don't believe that is a coincidence. By the way, kitty corner from that, there's the April 12th. There's actually a few around here. And it's, what, 15 days from Lee's birth. It's 3 days from my grandma's birth, right there. That strengthens it. And here is the patriarchal blessing. 7 days from my patriarchal blessing, which is not normal, especially for this area, which centers all of this. The November 7th. There's a lot I could show, but I'll be here for hours. I'll be here for hours. I'm skipping all kinds of stuff over there. I want to keep it simple. Look, my mom's name, Vera, with the November 7th. Coincidence? With the year my parents were sealed. 1973. Vera, my patriarchal blessing year. That part could be coincidence. I wish it was a little stronger. But the November 7th and the Vera, highly compelling. It's got a Holy Cross, 1882, when the Holy Cross moved to the current block, 1882 and 1883. But let's see if that's coincidence. Next to the Vera and the November 7th is my mom's birth year, with the Los Angeles temple where my mom's from. Coincidence with the November prophet. So 2 prophets. Coincidence. And then so this is highly strong already. John, my brother's birthday. That seems to strengthen it with my grandma's birth year, and a John. Her husband was John. That seems to strengthen a little. I wish that was a little stronger, but that's okay. I don't think my brother's birthday is coincidence. And then I thought there was one. Let's see here. Dorothy, let's see here. Ah, it's this one. My mom's middle name. Prophet's birth year, a prophet's birthday, April 3rd, the keys as well. Seems to always be the case with my mom's names. And it's 2 down from the Vera. So Vera Faye, November 7th, my mom. Vera Faye, November 7th, and all the other stuff, the Los Angeles Temple, November Prophet, etc. Now, I show one more. Actually, I shouldn't do that. Let's see here. I didn't realize this was this far. It's one of the closest Veras to Oaks. It's not, because it's not that. Ah, here it is. And yes, it's surrounded by all kinds of stuff, but it's a little harder. So here's another Vera. My parents were sealed on November 27th, 1973. There it is. You'll walk for months. Coincidence? Why is my patriarchal blessing right there? That's the arrangement I came out of, that temple sealing my mom and my dad. 1951, my mom's year. Coincidence? And I'm not going to show all this. 2 down from the Vera, my dad's birthday. Not coincidence. One more, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere around the prophets, like there's no end. But this one is worth showing right here. So you have my patriarchal blessing month and year on a prophet's birthday. Right there, a prophet's birthday, my patriarchal month and year, with my November 7th. Right there. Coincidence? That's super, super, super unusual to get that. A prophet's birthday on my patriarchal blessing, and it's the same prophet that has the July 2nd death. I got my patriarchal blessing July 2nd, 2004, next to one of the, geez, this is one of the closest November 7th in Oaks plot. So, coincidence? See the next one. If that is coincidence, and I've, as of the other day, after years, I finally found a 3rd November 7th, 1980. So these dates are hard to find. Look at this. A November 6th, 1980, Uchtdorf's birthday, with a November prophet going kitty corner into the September 22nd, which is November 7th, Apostle Scott's death symbol. And for some reason, I don't think that's a coincidence, and I forgot part of the reason why. It's over here. Because Elder Scott's birth year is right there. So I thought, so this is far stronger than I can share. Like, I could just go for days. One more to prove the point. The November 7th that forms the line into Oaks. Empty spot. Which is right Here it is, the one in the video already. Let's go down in the same row. Look at that, just a few down. November 6, 1980. Who's he pointing to? Who's he pointing to here? And I can't even remember because I just barely studied this. It's surrounded by all kinds of stuff. I forgot if it was behind or diagonal. It's very unusual. Okay, so there's the November 6, 1980. It's diagonal from a November 7th, which is not coincidence. Right there. Diagonal from it. And I don't know if this forms lines. Well, today's not the day for that. And then, so there's the November 7th, which is in the same row as the other November 7th, because there's two November 7ths down there, right next to each other. So the November 6, 1980 is a few down from one, and then that November 7th is in the same row as the other. And then that's two down from a November 17th, next to a Marion, Aaron M.I. I don't believe that's coincidence. And then look, an Aaron. Look at that. July 21st, Marion, November 17th, November 6th, 1980, the November 7th that forms the line into Oaks, that November 7th, kitty corner from the November 17th, the Marion, and then the Aaron. Now, here's another November 7th. This is highly, highly unusual. It is kitty corner from the Aaron. See what he's doing here? He's reinforcing this. He's saying, yes, you. Literally. I have been doing this for years. I can tell you, this is not coincidence. And I'm so tempted to show what's actually here and the ones I know better. And I just wanted to show some of the more stronger, real fast videos, way longer than I wanted it to be. This November 7th, look, it goes through November 27th, Doctrine and Covenants, as well as my parents' anniversary, the sealing arrangement, divine arrangement that I came out of. Prophet's birthday right there, June 23rd, which is next to the Aaron, the Marion, the November 17th. Okay, so if I start here, these two, November 7th, November 27th, look, I get it through the November 17th, and then the November 7th right here. So that's 4 November 7th patterns. 2 of them November 7th. This is way longer than I wanted it to be. October 9th. Okay, I should end it, no matter what. Let me just sweep this. I forgot about that. Ordination symbol on a 1980. You could, by the way, you could turn that into a November 4th, 11/1, January 1, which would be the week I was born. That makes sense. Ordination symbol, and it's kitty corner from the Aaron, and a few down from the November 7th. I don't believe that one's coincidence. My patriarchal blessing here, that could be coincidence because there's not much else to support it. There's no July 2nd, there's no derivative, and even when there's a derivative, I'll usually expect some type of confirmation. I can't just run with things. So that's that. I'm tempted to show the other stuff, but I hope a few people enjoy this.